When was the last time you did a rat?
No idea. But you can bet Matthew and Anna Fry won't forget rapid antigen tests anytime soon. This is the house rats built. Or rather, will build if it gets council approval. The Frys bought a mansion on a vast block on Jutland Parade in Dalkeith last year for the princely sum of $16.5 million. But that sort of money clearly doesn't buy what it used to, because the couple is tearing down that old dump and putting up a new mega mansion. This display of wealth was made possible in 2021 when Frys AM Diagnostics became the first Australian company to receive TGA approval to sell rats domestically during the pandemic.
Just a licence to print money.
And lots of it. The company signed a $32.8 million deal with the feds to supply rats and shipped literal tons of the things to the East Coast.
Goddamn rats.
Omicron was ripping through the community, and at one point it seemed like the only ones not giving buckets of money to AM Diagnostics was WA. That was only temporary though, because former Premier Mark McGowan eventually did a deal to get rats from Frys Mob, but only after the West reported on how frickin' behind the eight ball WA was.
Right place, right time, I guess.
Yeah, and you got to credit Fry for seeing an advantage and taking it.
Rats, thousands, millions of them.
But it'll be fascinating to see if the approvals for his new mansion go just as smoothly. You see, one thing that jumps out at me is the basketball half court. Don't get me wrong, I think it's awesome and brings serious mojo, dojo, casa house energy. But few things are more annoying than the sound of incessantly bouncing basketballs.
Rain dance!
Just ask the people who live near Coolbardie Park basketball courts in Carlisle. If that was the reaction from people in Carlisle, I'm pretty sure the super rich residents of Jutland Parade will like it about as much as a rat up the schnoz. Irony.
Sport can have its downsides.
And some pretty serious ones too. Concussion in sport is an issue most of us probably prefer not to think about. It makes it a lot harder to watch AFL or send the kids off to play footy if there's a nagging suspicion that it could cause degenerative brain damage. But a new Senate report makes ignoring the issue pretty difficult. For those who came in late, chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a brain disorder likely caused by repeated head injuries. I say likely because there's a lot science doesn't know about the condition, partly because you can only diagnose it post-mortem, and it relies on brains being donated for medical research. That automatically means we're working from a small sample size. But over in America, where the medical profession is light years ahead of us, the evidence is pretty damning. Hollywood even made a movie about the bloke who discovered it.
I found a disease that no one has ever seen. Repetitive head trauma chokes the brain.
CTE has been linked to ice hockey, rugby, NFL, boxing, and even soccer. And its symptoms include headaches, depression, cognitive and motor impairment, and even signs similar to Parkinson's.
Polly Farmer had it.
Yeah, the WA football great was the first AFL player to be officially diagnosed with CTE, and his family say it greatly affected the quality of his life. The deaths of former AFL stars Danny Frawley and Shane Tuck have also been linked to CTE, and former AFLW player Heather Anderson became the first professional female athlete to be diagnosed with the disorder. The prospect of what is actually happening at a community sport level, though, is frankly terrifying. So against this backdrop, the Senate launched an inquiry last year, and on Wednesday it released its recommendations. Some of them are obvious, like a national sports injury database, which will require professional sporting codes to share concussion data, and a recommendation to raise awareness around concussions and CTE symptoms, and provide specialist training for first aid responders at sporting events. A national framework around returning to sport after a concussion also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, why do the different codes have different protocols?
Who knows? Are the brains of rugby league players really that different to the rest of us? Actually, don't answer that.
Harsh.
One of the more interesting recommendations is that the federal government should introduce measures to encourage more Aussies to donate their brains for research.
How on earth are they going to do that?
Well, that's not really spelled out in these recommendations, but I'm thinking a Bunnings voucher would probably do the trick. But a lot of recommendations depend on the sporting codes lifting their game and changing rules or spending money on things like supporting players who are dealing with CTE in later life.
They have to listen to us. This is bigger than they are.
The sporting codes talk a big game when it comes to preventing concussions, but really fixing this problem will take a lot more than talk. And call me cynical, but I don't have a ton of faith that our sporting codes have the appetite for making the really tough decisions. Port Adelaide sure don't. And I have even less faith that our governments will take the biggest sporting codes to task. So tackling CTE will come down to how much we, as a sports-mad nation, want to see it happen.
You have no idea how bad this could get.
I'm Ben O'Shea.
For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.